Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm really glad that you found me here today, and I today would like to talk about listening to your intuition. So I want to start out by saying that at this point I have made several videos for my channel and I haven't uploaded any of them, and I am still unclear as to why that is. So today I want to talk a little bit about listening to your intuition, even though it's a video that I've already made and haven't uploaded. And so I'm guessing that even through the filming of this video that I might realize why it is that I haven't uploaded it. And I just got this strong feeling that that I have the option to just record it again. And so that's what I'm going to do. And, today I've been actually like considering a lot of topics that I would really like to talk about. And one of them is the way that we get stuck in this either or, like thinking that we only have two choices. And in this circumstance, it's either uploading the video that I already had or editing it, which seems to be impossible for me right now, and then uploading it. And so I've sort of been stuck in this conundrum, feeling like I have to edit it before I can upload it or just upload it as it is. And I just suddenly realized that there's actually another option and I can just re-record. And I'm hopefully going to be able to actually link that into the topic of this video, which is about following your intuition. So that said, I I feel like a lot of people have expressed to me this like uncertainty about what their intuition sounds like. A lot of people have asked me, how do you know when it's your intuition that's telling you to do something? And it can be so. One of the things I think that we do in this human experience is that we try to apply something that is spiritual that isn't necessarily easy to understand in the human realm. So we try to understand with our minds rather than like understanding with our spirit. And so that is true just for the topic of intuition, and it's also true for intuition. And so, kind of what I want to talk about is I would like to share with you, I guess, what it is like for me when I hear my intuition. Um, and I guess just explore that a little bit. Um, yeah, I think that's actually how I'm going to do this video. So, um, one of the things that I know for myself, I believe that like we are in this human body for a reason. And to me, when my intuition is speaking to me, it's actually my higher self, which is basically like my soul that is guiding me. And my higher self already knows the future. This is what I believe. I'm not saying that everyone has to believe it. So, to me, this is like how I grasp intuition in my human mind. So, um, I have this higher self that is attached to my human body, right? My higher self is in the realm of this like 3D world and attached to my body, and at the same time is a part of the spiritual realm that is like unseen to us. My higher self already knows what's going to happen, what's for my greatest good, and all of that. And I believe that when I hear my intuition, it is my higher self calling out to me, right? And so the first thing that I want to say is that I think it's essential um, in order to listen to your intuition that you know yourself, right? So it's really important to get to know yourself. And that's why I feel really drawn to being a therapist. That's why I feel really drawn to Reiki work, to tarot readings, because I feel like it's a way of helping people connect with themselves. When you do a reading for someone, or you're sitting in therapy, or you're like taking someone through healing, it's not actually that you're somehow going in there and doing the work. It's that you're actually just helping them tap into themselves. You're helping them to see whatever is going on inside of themselves that's blocking them so that they can work through it. You're maybe saying something in a tarot card reading that gives them an intuitive hit and tells them something that's true inside of themselves, right? And so, from that perspective, it is really just helping people to awaken to themselves. And so that is important in order to listen to your intuition, that you're connected with yourself. And I believe that our intuition can be so strong that in some cases that isn't true, right? Like our intuition can bust through that stuff. Some examples I can think of are times in my life that I've been like very much spiritually asleep, not awakened to myself, running from me, in denial, hiding from my trauma, with a barricade around me. And I've got into situations where my intuition has screamed. It's like been so loud that I couldn't ignore that I felt it. And I still sometimes have chosen not to follow it. So, it is, though, really important to be connected with yourself to even know that that's intuition, right? So, back to what I was saying, I believe that my higher self is connected to this body. I've experienced a lot of trauma in my life that has been a lot of trauma to my body. And that I feel like it has taken my whole life to be willing to even sit in my body for a moment. I spent a lot of my life trying to escape feeling in my body. And when I'm in that place, it's really hard for my intuition, for my higher self to communicate with me. So, yeah, so that's kind of like what I feel about intuition. What I feel like is happening is that I have this higher self, this, part inside of me. And I sort of actually even have this image when I say that. I imagine my higher self as like this energy that's even bigger than I am, right? And it's almost like I actually imagine it being above my mind. And the reason why that is that I feel like my mind a lot of times is what gets in my way. And I was laughing to myself the other day when I was, looking at my astrology chart, because I've been getting really into astrology and I find it so fascinating. And I was laughing to myself about how I have 11 planets in air. And that's a lot of thinking. It's like my mind is just always like going, and on so many different levels. So I have this higher self that's like above my mind and is so connected to the spiritual world, connected to all of these other souls, because essentially my belief is that we are all connected, in way more ways than that, right? But like we've come into this humanness, and my belief is that our minds get in our way, and that is especially true for me. So I imagine like this energy that I have that is like up here, that is like connected with everything. And then I have my human body, it's also connected to that. And so what happens is that I will get these intuitive hits, and what that feels like to me, like I like to think about what it feels like in my body when I hear my intuition, because when we say hear intuition, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm hearing it with these human ears, right? And so I think that sometimes that can be really confusing, or like when we say that we see something, it's not necessarily that I'm seeing it with these human eyes, right? There's like another level of sense that's happening, that's hearing, seeing, feeling all together in one. And so, one of the things that I know to be true for me is that like when I get an intuitive hit, whether it's really powerful or really subtle, it gives me this like sparky kind of feeling. I feel these little sparks kind of going off all through my body. It reminds me of like when you go to light a lighter and it doesn't light all the way and it's just like the flickers of sparks, like that sound kind of. That's what it feels like in my body when I hear my intuition. And, and so I think it's really important one of the ways that I think can be really helpful to figure out how you hear your intuition is like to think of a time, and I like to do like a meditation about this even, and maybe I'll actually do that meditation on my channel soon. But I like to do a meditation that sort of is like walks me through remembering a time that I had an intuitive hit and like imagining where I feel it in my body and how it feels. And just like experiencing that feeling, because it can be really hard sometimes to decipher, especially if you've had a lot of trauma between um, the mind and the ego and all of that, and the trauma response and the intuition. Because trauma also causes a reaction in the body, right? And so it's been really important for me to distinguish between the way that trauma feels when I feel it, or like when I'm like triggered, it's a trauma trigger, or like when somebody says something and I think that it's true because my trauma tells me it's true, not because my intuition tells me it's true. So I think it's really important to like get in touch with your body and the way that your higher self communicates with your body to hear your intuition. And there are a lot of things that we can do to like grow our intuition. And one of those things is actually just like seeking intuitively, in seeking answers from our intuition on purpose. Where, it's like just making little decisions every day that maybe like I seek out how I intuitively feel about it. And also, I think that it's important to share our intuition sometimes with other people, especially in the beginning of really connecting with ourselves, to get that feedback that says it's true, because so much of the world is always telling us it's not true. You know, I think about an example of, when I was in this relationship, and I had felt secure in the relationship the whole entire time of this relationship. I felt secure, everything was good. And all of a sudden, I started having dreams that my partner was cheating on me. And it was like, and it became like over and over again, I would have these dreams. And one of the things that I know about myself is when I dream about that stuff, it's true. A lot of things happen in my dreams that come true, or turn out to, I find out later that they are true. So I had been having dreams that like he was cheating on me, and I would wake up and I would want to push it away. I didn't want to believe it. I was, and I started to become really paranoid, and like, when his phone would go off, there were times that I would feel like it was like another woman texting him. And so then eventually I started to kind of say something, and then I was gaslighted, and it was like, you're crazy, right? So basically that happens to us so much in life in so many ways. Like, this is just a small example. And so I was being told that I was crazy, and I started to think that, yeah, I am crazy. It's because, that's happened to me in the past, or like, because, other men who are attached have, like come on to me. And so I just feel like men are cheaters. And so I started to, my mind started to really get in the way of what my intuition was telling me. And eventually it did come out that it was true, that he was cheating on me that whole time. And when that was revealed to me, I had the same feeling. It was just those sparks, So, the world, a lot of times gives us information that negates our intuition, and our minds hook into that, right? So in this case, there have been plenty of times in my life that I've been told that I'm crazy. In some ways, I probably am. So when this person said to me, like, you're just being crazy, I hooked into that. Yeah, you're right. I've been told that so many times, it must be true that I'm being crazy, right? And so um, it's really interesting to me, just the way that our minds and things that we learn separate us from our intuition. And I also want to say that I just think that listening to your intuition is probably the most important thing that you can do in life. And it's really interesting to me how we just get all these messages that we shouldn't listen to ourselves. That internally, it's almost like we are led to believe that we don't know what's best for us. And I would say, in some ways, and this is the thing about like the messages of the world and how they hook us, right? Because in some ways, that actually can be true. When I'm living in this human mind and I'm making my choices just from my human mind, it's true that I maybe am not making the greatest choices, right? Even if I weigh them out completely and I'm like, I may still not be making the best choices for my life. And so, it's funny to me because it actually is somewhat true, and that's what makes it so believable to us. That's why it hooks us. Um, and when I say this, when I'm telling you guys this, it's like, I just want you to know that this is what I believe. I'm not saying that you have to believe this. This is just kind of my viewpoint on the whole thing. And so, um, I also, I think that, yeah, it hooks us because there's part of it that's believable because it can be true. Um, and so it makes it even that much more important that we learn to listen to ourselves. And the reason why it's true that like maybe sometimes we don't know what's best for us is because we live in a world that has closed us off from ourselves. And so we have unlearned how to listen to our internal guidance. We've unlearned it, and we've put a wall between us and our spirit that knows what is the best for us, right? And I have a feeling, I don't know if this is true or not, but I have a feeling like that happens to us for a reason. Um, but anyways, that's a whole nother video. So yeah, I those were kind of the main points that I wanted to talk about in this video. And um I think that it's just so important that we learn to really like get to know ourselves and listen to ourselves despite what the rest of the world is telling us. And that doesn't mean that we don't remain open and teachable. But like when I listen to somebody who's teaching me something, I listen to my body. It's not like and I hope that when you guys are listening to my videos, even that you're listening to your internal compass that is telling you whether or not what I'm saying resonates, or whether it resonates or not. Like you decide that for yourself, right? You get to decide what your truth is. And so when we're looking to a teacher, it's not just that we're believing everything that's given to us. It's important that we listen to what that intuitive side of us is telling us is the truth and isn't the truth. I hope that that makes sense to you guys. And I just kind of wanted to tell actually a little story that. Do I want to tell that little story? I actually don't think that I do want to tell it. So I guess that I'm just going to kind of say that there have been times that, so many times, that I've had intuitive hits that I need to do something, and my mind will come in and try to talk me out of it. And it will have this like legitimate list of reasons for why I shouldn't listen, right? And I will sometimes even be close to agreeing with my mind. But then when I actually follow through with what my intuition is telling me to do, it turns out to be exactly what I needed to do. And so I just think that it's that's why I believe that like listening to our intuition is so important, because we could always make the choice from our mind. It's not really that big. Like, it's not going to ruin everything forever, right? But when I'm listening to my higher self that already knows what the best, the highest vibration of me knows, my best path in life, knows all of that. When I listen to that, I feel like my life just gets better and better. And so to me, that makes it extremely important. So Anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed that video, and there will be more to come. And thank you for visiting my channel. Feel free to share this with anyone that you feel like might be interested in it. I'm going to be back to talk about all sorts of different topics. I've been kind of considering, you know, the way that I want to organize my YouTube channel, because I do want to do a lot of different things, like, you know, talking about this kind of stuff. I also want to provide meditations and some kinds of like teachings and things like that. So it's going to be really interesting to see the way that my YouTube channel unfolds. I'm kind of holding it with an open hand. It's not especially something that I've wanted to do. And I shared that in my introductory video. And I'll probably continue to talk about it because I think it's really important. That I've always had a lot of resistance to being videoed at all. Like I just have all this resistance to it. This is not something I ever wanted to do. And I feel so led to do it that it's like almost like I can't even allow the part of me that doesn't want to do it to win anymore. And so I'm really grateful for all of you who are here watching. And I just know that this channel, whatever it's meant for, I feel a little bit unclear still as to what it is meant for, but I feel like it is going to become whatever it's meant to be. And I'm super excited about watching that. I'm super excited about you guys being a part of that. And so thank you for being here. That's it.